Hello, welcome back to Level 20 Lounge. This is Level 20 Sports Line. We've got a really good show for you tonight, a great special guest, a great panel. I'm Mike Migliori, Chip Hayner, Smoking Jim Frazier, and Al Levine, the Talking Machine. We got a good show for you tonight, like I said, and we are ready to roll with What's on Your Mind. Al, what's on your mind?
What's on my mind is I'd like to thank Level 20 for having us here. They had a great fundraiser yesterday for the fallen officer, the Haley, and there was a nice turnout there. I was talking with Tim, one of the officers there, and Rich Griffith, and a few of the others. And it was a rainy day, so wouldn't you know, I left before the crowd got here after 2:30, 3 o'clock. I missed Chip Hayner when he come out and Stephanie, so they had a good time. There were great gifts. I don't know who won all the things. We'll get details later, but that's not what's on my mind. What's on my mind is the referees. They made all this big deal about the referees. I think the only guy that looks bad in this, or maybe guys, is the owners and Goodell, because we still had similar calls. The only thing we didn't have is all these walkie-talkies going with each official there. What did you see, Joe? What did you see, Bill? What do we do? Then they had a huddle, and they still went to replay. So we noticed some of the same things. And I guess they're a little rusty, so maybe they'll knock some of that rust off. And whatever deal they made, I think it was more of a compromise. Cooler heads could have prevailed earlier, but did they? No. Both sides were polarized. We can talk politics. I'm not going to go off subject on that, but same type of thing. When you get polarized, one side just wants to hunker down and go with their thing. Look what happened. We still got the same type of games being called. And what was the game where Sproles, the ball was knocked clearly out of his hands? I'll let you think. You can make the call. That's what's on my mind, Mike.
Thanks, Al. Smoking Jim, what's on your mind?
Hey, thanks, Magic Mike. First of all, man, I tell you what, I didn't get much of a birthday gift this year, but I got a present coming in here tonight. Seeing my main man, Bobby Gold, here. I tell you what, there's some guys that he's my hero. There's some guys that transcend time, man. I tell you what, I remember this guy was such a great football player and wrestler that I remember when he was in junior high school, me and my dad was listening to Myron Cope on the radio, and Myron Cope says Joe Paterno is recruiting a junior high kid from Penn Hills named Bobby Gold, and he was the youngest player ever to play semi-pro football. He was playing with ex-Steelers, and when you go to the stadium, all you seen was about 50 Bobby Gold jerseys. So I'm happy to see my main man, Bobby Gold. I miss Bill Cowher. I tell you what, Coach Bill Cowher is eligible for the Hall of Fame right now, and he should go in because he's one of the top 5 coaches of all time. I tell you what, Bill Cowher took over this program in '92. Not only did he develop the team, not only did he develop players, but Bill Cowher's legacy will be how he coached up his coaches. You look at the Bill Cowher coaching tree, guys that he coached that went on to be head coaches in the National Football League. This record will never be broken. Dom Capers, Dick LeBeau, Marvin Lewis, Jim Haslett, Shane Gailey, Mike Malarkey, Ken Wisenhunt. And I tell you what, Coach Cowher's coaching tree is better than my apple tree. There's no forbidden fruit on that tree. I tell you what, Hall of Fame, do the right thing and put the chin in.
Have a drink, my man. There you go.
How do you follow that?
All right, Chip.
What's
on your mind?
What's on my mind? It was a very interesting sports weekend this week, and there's 2 things, and I'll make this short, that are on my mind. One was a collapse of epic proportions, which happened to the United States Ryder Cup team as they failed miserably yesterday in the final matches of the Ryder Cup. And, you know, I think it's embarrassing for American golf because, you know, we've got the best of everything here, and we're getting beaten by the Europeans and beaten pretty handily. But the other thing that's on my mind is, you know, a little bit of college football. And this past weekend, West Virginia Mountaineers played the Baylor Bears. And I saw the score in the paper on Sunday morning, and I thought it was a basketball game. They scored 70 points and didn't even cover the point spread. They gave up 63 points. And the thing that bothers me about all this is, how does either defensive coordinator have a job right now? Because apparently they left out a little key thing that defensive coordinators should teach their defensive players. Tackle the guy with the ball. I don't think anybody got tackled the whole game. I think with a 70-63 score, I think both offenses went up and down the field every time. Is there any time during the game that either team didn't score? And if Baylor wouldn't have run out of time, they may have even won that game. That's what's on my mind.
Did you say basketball? I've seen pinball games that didn't score that high. And as far as, well, you got to forgive the Ryder Cup team since most of our golfing talent is now in the White House. And Jim, well, Bill Cowher was a Steelers coach, and there are some comparable coaches in NFL history. Rich Kotite comes to mind right away. So, I mean, you've always said, you've said over and over and over that Mike Tomlin took a Bill Cowher's player and Bill Cowher's coaches to the Super Bowl. That proves one thing. The only thing that they didn't need was Bill Cowher. So apparently anybody could have took those guys to the Super Bowl. What's on my mind is that in 2 weeks, the October 15th show, we will have a guest, Tony Lanero. Tony Lanero went to high school with me. He played baseball for Penn Hills. He played baseball for the Olympic team, and then he moved to Italy where he contracted multiple sclerosis. Tony now, I guess, has a hard time walking, but he does race bicycles. He's coming back from Italy to be inducted into the Western Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame in 2 weeks. And on Monday, October 15th, we will have him here as a guest. I think if you have any interest in multiple sclerosis, he has a wealth of knowledge on that. And his story is pretty impressive. So if you get a chance, either come on down or tune in and see what this guy has to say. And well, Jim's right. We do have, I very rarely say that, but we do have a guest tonight. Bobby Gould is currently the head coach of the Three Rivers Explosion full contact women's football team. Bobby, come on up. Great to have you. Come on.
How you doing?
John, that's Chip Hader. Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you.
All right. Well, Jim told you a lot about Bobby's football career. The stuff I could tell you about him shouldn't be on this show. So let's go ahead and get right into tell us what you've been doing recently.
Well, I work at Chartiers Valley School District. I'm the facilities director up there. Been there about 12 years. Remarried my childhood sweetheart, Michelle Grill. And we have a beautiful granddaughter of ours that we're raising, Gabriella. And other than that, I'm back involved with women's football. It's my third year with the team. It's called the Three Rivers Explosion. We play out of Chartiers Valley High School, and we practice there. We presently have 20 players on the roster. We have a tryout coming up October 6th, and we're hoping to get about 30 on the roster. A unique thing about this is that we play 8 women football. It's not an 11-man team. It's a WSFL, Women's Spring Football League 8 women's division. We were the Northeast champs last year. We won our division, only the first year in the league. So we really have some high expectations for this year. We're real excited. We picked up some real talent. There's a few ladies here this evening, for instance, Mrs. Will Walton. If you stand up over there, Will, she's very experienced. She has played for the Passion and the Force, and we're fortunate enough to have her on our team this year. Real excited. Also, we have Marlene Engels. I know and Marlene Engels. Also, Marlene played for the Passion and the Force, and once again, we're very fortunate of having her on our team this year. So we're very excited about some of the. Obviously, we have some talent coming on this year, and we're going to be competing for the national championship come this spring. So we're real excited about that.
All right. Now you said that you are having tryouts on October 6th.
Yes.
Where and what time?
It'll be from 4 o'clock to 7. It'll be at Chartiers Valley Primary School Fields, and everybody and anybody's involved. You don't have to have experience. come on out, try out. We have very qualified coaches, and we'll teach you everything you need to know.
Will Wayne Capers be there?
Wayne Capers? No, Wayne won't be there. Wayne won't be there.
When does the season run? When does it start?
It starts April, and it ends in July.
Okay.
So it goes April through July.
And where do you play at?
Chartiers Valley High School.
Oh, do you?
If you get on 79, get off at exit 55.
I know Tim McConnell there.
There you go, Timmy
How's he
McConnell.
doing?
He's doing wonderful. He actually, we have an office next to one another, and he does good by me because I see his basketball court. It's got to be clean. Everything got to be ready to go. Scoreboard got to work. You know, I'm the guy that makes that happen. So he got to be nice to me. You know what I'm saying?
Tell him Saul Levine's son Al said hello.
I will do that. Definitely, definitely. One of the deans of high school coaching, if I may say so, basketball-wise.
What a family basketball-wise.
Absolutely.
How are you on the basketball court?
That's why I wrestled.
Okay. I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah. That's why I wrestled. Yeah, there you go.
Great answer, Bob.
That jump thing.
That's not you.
Nah. I'll take you down.
You might be a good rebounder. You have some rebounding skills.
There you go.
So you played for Penn Hills High School.
Yes, I did.
You were running back.
I was a running back.
And what year was that?
I played 76, 77, 78. We were champs all 3 years, national champs my senior year. And I got to bring this up, but Jimmy used to play for Penn Hills, and he and I, we grew up together, played ball together. And for some reason, I don't know, he had like some kind of a mental relapse or something. He ended up going to Gateway his junior year. And then his senior year, we ended up playing him in the playoffs to get to the championship. Yeah, he cried right here. I felt bad for him because he's my boy.
He got recruited.
He's my boy, but
So now,
Never doing it again.
Hey, Bob.
Jim has steadily refused to tell us his age. So would you tell us one more time? What were the years?
That would be 78, class of 78. That makes you about 39.
I didn't think he was 40. I didn't think this guy was 40. Now.
Look how good he looks, man. He looks awesome.
All right,
why?
42 then.
What's that?
With the hair.
The hair. I can't see. You got a hat on.
Jerry curls.
Oh, you got Jerry curl.
You need some blowout there. Where's the blowout in the pic? Come on now. I want to see your high school picture.
So
What was this high school
Jim,
picture like?
we've had two guests, Pete Marino and now Bobby Gold. They just told your whole life story. I guess this is your life.
Hey, can we track down a rumor that did he get recruited maybe for Gateway? Could that have happened?
I'm thinking there was recruitment going on there. Yeah.
Unofficially or?
Unofficially. I couldn't say for sure.
It is not unofficial. We had Pete Marino on, and he erased. Oh yeah, we recruited Jimmy out of Penn Hills.
High school around the day period. Scouts on their schools. I love it.
Jimmy could
Woodland
run.
Hills University,
Jimmy
though.
could run. He was fast. He and I, we worked out a lot together. So, yeah, he was a heck of a football player.
I heard he was fast back then.
He was real fast back then.
I don't know. A lot of these girls he brings on the show say that too.
Oh, man.
Is he blushing here?
Well, you know what? We do have a room full of Three Rivers Explosion players here. Maybe we'll try to get them up here eventually also. But
That'd be great.
since we're talking about collapses of epic proportions, Chip,
Here it comes.
this is your life.
Yeah, this is my segment, and 20 years, and it stings. It's humiliating. It's embarrassing. It's painful. It's all of those things. But what can we say? The Pirates gave us a pretty good ride this year, but I guess they weren't ready for prime time. They've guaranteed the 20th losing season in a row, but I'm not going to be so down on them because I think what the Pirates brought this year was a lot of excitement to the city of Pittsburgh. It was a fun summer spending the evenings down at PNC Park, and it's been 20 years since we've had a winning season, but the small solace I take in that is I think about the Chicago Cubs. And it's been, what, 100 years, and they haven't won the World
about.
Series. Right. So, you know, I mean, when you talk about, you know,
Chip, you can't
futility, you know, I mean,
Wait a
it could be a lot worse, you know.
But they still have an occasional winning season.
Yeah.
All right? And if you want to be nostalgic, you're right. Pirates have brought back a lot of memories this year, especially since they haven't been no-hit in 42 years. That's a nice memory
You know what?
refresher.
And now that you bring that up, you know, the last two no-hitters pitched in Pittsburgh, I happened to be witness to both games back in
Wow. How old are you,
1997 on July the 12th. Two Pittsburgh Pirate
85.
pitchers combined on a no-hitter, a 10-inning no-hitter against the Houston Astros. And Friday night, I sat there and got to witness the next no-hitter. And that was a painful game to watch, but, you know, after a certain amount of time, you had to appreciate what was happening as a baseball fan, watching a no-hitter pitch. Not a lot of people get to see that happen in their lifetime.
you're right.
So I've seen the last two pitched in the city of Pittsburgh. The one before that was in 1976 when Candelaria did that. So, you know, you think about in the last 40 years, there's been 3 of them, and I've seen 2 of them. I think that's something special.
Actually, Doc Ellis did one too.
Pardon me?
Doc Ellis also.
Okay, I stand corrected. But, you know, when you want to talk about the Pirates season, and I know everybody's down on the Pirates, they're saying fire Clint Hurdle, fire Neil Huntington, fire
Maybe not right
fire
away.
fire Coonley. They say fired Bob Nutting. I mean, you can't, I don't know if you can fire the owner, but everybody's just to fire everybody. And the analogy I'm going to bring to this is I'm going to take a little page from history, and let's go all the way back to September of 2011. There was 2 teams, one in the American League and one in the National League, that had 9-game leads in their division, and collapsed to the point that neither team made the playoffs. One was the Boston Red Sox, one was the Atlanta Braves. The Boston Red Sox fired everybody and started all over again, and the Braves didn't. And look where the Braves are this year, and look where the Red Sox are this year. Okay, the Red Sox have failed quite miserably, and especially with the kind of salaries that they're paying out. What they pay out? 175 million in player salary this year. That didn't buy them a championship. Neither did bringing in a high-priced manager who was a proven winner, and will tell you he's one of the greatest managers of all time, but that's his own opinion of himself. Bobby Valentine destroyed what was going on in Boston. But, you know, I mean, it still doesn't take away the fact that, you know, a lot of people got wrapped up in the Pirates this year, and we're all really sadly disappointed. But, you know, the season's going to turn its page into the playoffs, and I'm going to be looking forward to 2013. Better things are on the horizon.
Well, first, there's a glaring difference between the Red Sox and the Braves. The Braves get to play the Pirates more often than the Red Sox do. So that kind of beefs their stats up just a little bit. And you can get into the playoffs if you do that a lot. And, well, just for general information, in the parking lot, there's a bandwagon for sale. It's only been used once and not for very long. So,
Well, speaking of that bandwagon, I was on it until last week, like I told you. And one leg was dragging, the other leg I got all scraped up because I mean it was a rough tumble. Because then I'm a history guy, and there's other teams that have lost 8-9 game leads, but we can hold another record in Pittsburgh, the City of Champions, but it's at the wrong end. This was the most epic losing season ever. You were 16 games up August 8th. Wow. And now to go under where you're not going to have a winning season, it's never been done. That's how historic this is.
10 games up August 30th.
16 games. On,
10, yeah,
right,
but 10 on August 30th.
But the
I mean,
record
geez.
is because of August 8th being that many games up. Other teams have lost 9, 12 game leads.
There's no question this is as painful as 1992 was when you know, Barry Bonds couldn't throw out Sid Bream at home plate. But, you know, I mean, there's no way of candy coating it. It's painful
I
as hell.
give the third base coach credit, and with Sid Bream sending them. He looked who was out there.
I would have sent my grandmother on Barry Bonds' arm. Come on. He hasn't thrown anybody out yet.
And he's not going to.
And he's not, yeah.
But Chip, we did have a fun season.
No,
You gotta give some credit.
I enjoyed the ride while it lasted, and I appreciate it. You know, if anything I learned this summer is A, how much I love baseball, and B, how much I love having the Pirates in Pittsburgh. And we've got one of the best ballparks in America, and it's a great way to spend an evening in the summer.
And that brings up another negative point. We got a culture, like we've all talked about, of losing. They set another record with over 2 million fans. They haven't done it since the inaugural season. So, I mean, here you go. now the guy Nutting, who fosters this culture, doesn't have a problem with it because he makes his $20 million just on the luxury tax. Now he's making it on you, Chipper, and I'd rather he not make it on you because you bought the 20 season ticket package, and I know you'll be there for Chipper Jones.
You want to know something? You know what?
I mean, come on now.
Every business owner is in business to make money, so I'm
I
not
don't
going to fault the
begrudge
guy
that.
for making money.
I don't begrudge that. I'm glad he did make money. The problem I have, we still have losers. Now, it was exciting for, I think, 2/3 of a season, so we got better than half a season. I'm happy with that.
Let me ask this question about the Pirates this year. Do you think the Pittsburgh Pirates are better off today than they were 5 years ago?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
You don't think they're better off right now than they were 5 years ago?
I mean, better off. They're making more money, maybe.
They're making more money. They've got more talent on their major league roster. They've got more
know
talent in
about
the
They
farm
got
system.
paid, Drew.
They've got more talent in their farm
MVP.
system because 5 years ago they
I'm
didn't
a
have
believer.
anything.
They
They didn't
got
have
no
one
talent in
player.
their major league system. The only real baseball player that they have is going to be leaving soon, because there's no way they're going to be able to sign Hanrahan. They're liable to trade him before the end of the season. That's only 3 days away.
Especially since he broke his record of finally losing a game. When we had a lead after 8 innings, we didn't have one loss until yesterday. So that was the coup de grace there.
Well, there will be a much different team that the Pirates will put on the field next year. I mean, there's going to be changes made. A number of guys are going to become eligible for arbitration, which is going to force their hands on some of the player moves. You know, whether or not they keep somebody or they trade them to get in, somebody back behind the plate, or maybe even a right fielder, because there's a lot of holes that need to be filled in the Pirates roster right now. And there's a lot of questions about how that's going to be done over the next 4 or 5 months.
Before they fill those holes in the players' roster, they need to fix the front office. Right? First, this management team has had 2 major collapses. They can't finish. Okay, Clint Hurdle, while everybody says he's a great players guy and he's this and he's that and he's this, has managed 10 major league seasons. He's had 1 winning season out of the 10. Like I told you before, the guy came in here as a loser, and his coaching staff is a loser, and the general manager is a loser, and the whole team has a losing culture. If you don't change that, it doesn't matter what players you bring in here, they're coming into a losing culture. The Pirates, by saying that they are not going to make any front office changes, have made the entire world, or the entire baseball world, know that they will reward failure. Okay, if you don't have to perform to keep your job, well, then why perform? I mean, the guy said on the radio yesterday that maybe we could find something to do to embarrass Nutting into selling the team. If Nutting isn't embarrassed to sell that team now, he never will be. There's nothing that I can do or say that is going to embarrass him any more than he should be already. But he's making his luxury tax every year. He's making his profit every year. For this guy, it's a business. And if that's all you want is a business, then he's probably doing pretty good. And yes, we do have the nicest major league stadium in the league. Nicer than the new Yankee Stadium, nicer than that thing up in Cleveland. It's the nicest one in the league, and any out-of-town reporter or baseball writer that comes into town will tell you that. So yeah, you've got a great stadium. You just have a garbage team. But, and also in the stadium you have all-you-can-eat seats, and those aren't too bad either. But again, you can sit at the picnic table out next to the stand there and never have to watch the game. If the Pirates played in my backyard, I would pull the blinds closed. Right? They're a garbage team, and if you keep going to that team, then you're rewarding them for being garbage, and you have no complaint, because that's just the way it is. If you don't tell somebody that you have to perform to keep their job, then you can't complain about how they perform.
Bob, what do you think about that? We haven't asked you anything about the
I think
Pirates.
there's a lot of valid points here. I think
Yeah,
where he says that we have a losing culture. Well, I think Hurdle's trying to change that. I really do. I mean, I've seen halfway through the year, 3/4 through the year, and the Pirates were in the hunt of it. It was 16 games.
Yeah.
We were above 500 not too long ago, and all of a sudden it just went downhill.
And
I think that's because of what Mike's saying.
Well,
They have that loser mentality. They don't know how to get over the hump.
And they-
Any good football team, for instance, okay, if you go throughout the years, okay, they always got to here, but they could never get over the hump. For some reason, they could never do it, all right? I mean, the Steelers were like that for years, until they got old.
Those
And
are
it
power
took
years.
them,
I mean, no, yeah.
and it took them some time, but they did it. But once they did it, hey, we're spoiled here in Pittsburgh.
Oh, yes, we are.
We want champions. We want champions.
Nothing
if
less
it's
is
girls
acceptable.
football, if it's baseball, if it's football, whatever it is, hockey, we expect it.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh fans are spoiled. We expect nothing but the best.
Well, you know, and we are spoiled. And, you know, I mean, and I know that we're being super critical of the Pirates management and, you know, and the manager and everything else. But, you know, I got to take some of the players to task at this, too. Because Clint Hurdle wasn't the one that sat there and looked at called third strikes. He wasn't the guy that sit there and didn't swing at hittable balls in the strike zone. You know, and he isn't the guy that's making boneheaded moves. Now, sure, it's the manager's job to teach these kids, but I mean, you know, there's a number of different things that the players themselves, you know, need to get much better at.
I got to interrupt
Clint
you.
Hurdle
Go ahead.
was not the one that gave up 6 runs in 1 inning when the team was up 7-1. That's true. He didn't do that. He was the slob hanging on the rail, chewing bubble gum this big and drooling all over himself and watching a pitcher give up 6 runs in 1 inning instead of yanking him out when everybody else in the city knew that, hey, McDonald doesn't have it today. By the time it was 7-4, maybe it was time to say, you know, maybe we should get him out of there. And even if you watch it, you can see many times that Ray Searage goes up and whispers something to Hurdle, and Hurdle just shakes his head like this. Searage jumps out of the way so that stuff doesn't get all over him. But, you know, I mean, the guy is trying to give him good information. Hurdle, no, want to let him pitch 5 innings. Why? Why does he need to pitch 5 innings? Because so he could get a win? Guess what? 5 innings of 6-run an inning baseball is not going to get you a win.
And Chipper, one of the things that I notice is how do you miss cutoff players? That's something we've learned in Little League, and they do that. Then how do you wave a guy when a ball's thrown out the right field? Tabata, who should have stayed in the minor leagues, here's a guy, he's sprinting to second base, and they almost had him out right past second base. Now, what happened to him? He looked so out of shape. And that's the environment that they have. It's a culture of losing. They promote these kids that are prima donnas. And the only one I'm eating my words on is MVP Pedro, because I thought he was a Dave Kingman. He surprised me. I would have sent him down just to try to learn something. But I guess with this new era, it doesn't build character. You have to keep telling them, attaboy, keep going, you can make it, and we all know too many attaboys get you out of the game. You guys have heard that before, right, Coach?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, that's part of that culture there.
The only player that they have on that team that has any potential is Sterling Marte. And the only reason he has any potential is he doesn't speak English, so these guys can't ruin him yet. You got Andrew McCutchen, not only played his way out of the MVP, he played his way out of the batting title, and then some other guys stepped aside to put him back in it, and he played his way out of it again.
Well, it's the thing. They have to play a whole season. We don't have a whole season with the Pirates, whether it's being in shape, whether it's just that winning or losing culture. There's something wrong when you have major league athletes. Okay, some of them are still minor leaguers. They shouldn't be there. But how do you not finish a season? That's the problem I have. And they don't look in shape. And to me, you look at some of these other teams, they look more intense. Even when they're out of the game, they still look like they want to try to hit the ball, run, catch, and make plays. Our guys are standing around. It's like you wouldn't know whether they won or lost or cared. And I think that's a problem.
I mean, the thing is, you have to be held responsible for what you do. And it doesn't mean not just baseball or baseball managers, but like anything in life. Who here has a job where you can go in and be a failure for 10 years and still have the job?
Weatherman.
The weatherman, yeah.
Weatherman.
No, but the weatherman, you know what? The weatherman
And weatherwoman there. Don't be just saying the weatherman.
Okay, his job isn't to predict the weather. His job is to get you to watch him.
No, it's to tell you what just happened. His job is to tell you what just
And
happened.
they're never wrong. They always say it might rain, it might be sunny, it might be cloudy. They're never wrong.
Joe,
You have to go over and you have to do your job. You have to perform. That's the bottom line. If the Pirates will not hold their management team responsible, how can the management team hold the players responsible?
You know, and I understand that every point that you're making, Michael, is absolutely valid, and I I can't argue with the validity of it. But you know what?
Whoa.
I mean, one of the things the Pirates have, that, you can't allow to
Getting
happen
dry
is
mouth.
every 2 years blowing it up and starting all over again. And that's always been what's been happening for the last 20 years. And I know, trying to keep it together and trying to work through these problems. I think it's, I think it seems to me to make sense at this point. But you know what? Next year, that could all end up, I could be right, I could be wrong. We'll see.
The reason that they end up having to do that every year is because every time they bring in managers with losing records. This past, they could have got Tony Pena. They could have got Phil Garner. I don't know if they're great baseball managers or not, but they both have winning records. That's right. They could have called me. I've never lost a major league game, and I'd have stood here and chewed bubble gum and drilled over myself for half the money that her was
Yeah,
making.
but you mentioned Tony Pena and other people, but you look at Bobby Valentine. He's a proven winner. He didn't do anything. Look at Ozzie Guillen. He wins a World Series in Chicago, and he goes down and craps the bed in Miami. He's on the verge of getting fired. He's lost that whole team. There aren't that many. The one good manager that's out there that I think might be a decent option is Francona. He doesn't have a job right now, but I understand he's on some people's short list for some of the teams that are
Not
firing
on
him.
ours,
I bet
though.
he's not on the Pirates.
Well, because we haven't fired our manager, and we
And
don't.
we're not
plan on
going
it.
to. It's like 2 years ago when they were reevaluating people. They just kept them.
But you're going to
And
give
here they
somebody more
announced
than
that-
2 years to try to get a system to
Right,
work.
but here
and
they
they have
announced-
improved every year so far.
Look at Chuck Noll was mentioned on the show. What did they do one year with his staff? They said, you got to get rid of that staff, coach. And there's a legend, a Hall of Fame legend, 4 Super Bowls. Guess what he did? He listened to management, got rid of the staff, and he started winning again. So, I mean, these things happen in history. And you're a history guy, Chip. I appreciate you being on the bandwagon, but you got to watch. You might have a splinter in that eye.
It's all right. I'm going to ride it till the end.
Well, you're riding. I hope you see Chipper Jones before he goes to the Hall of Fame there.
That's right, man. Before he
Chuck
goes
Noll was
away.
the greatest NFL coach in history. Speaking of great NFL coaches, Mike Tomlin, the second greatest Steeler coach ever, didn't have to play this week, thank God for him.
No loss.
But they do have to play against the Eagles. Jim, is it possible we could be looking at 1-3?
You know what? It's quite possible. I took a lot of heat before the season when I said the Pittsburgh Steelers would be lucky to finish the season 8-8. I predicted a long time ago that when Bill Cowher's players began to retire, the Pittsburgh Steelers would turn into the Pittsburgh Pirates, and you're starting to see that right before your eyes. Listen, is the Oakland Raiders that bad, or is the Steelers that bad? The Broncos beat them by about 50 points yesterday. I tell you what, Philadelphia Eagles, the coaching staff, the quarterback, they're all playing for their jobs. They got tremendous amount of talent. Shady McCoy is coming back to his hometown, University of Pittsburgh. Don't forget, Deshae Jackson grew up on the Hill District before he got out. Played for the Disciples on the Hill when he was in midget football before he moved out to California. So look for the Philadelphia Eagles to come in here fired up and possibly beat the Pittsburgh Steelers and send them to 1-3.
Since we got some other football people here, Bob, what do you think this week?
And I kind of got to go with Jim on that. I'll be honest with you. I'm a diehard Steeler fan. Don't get me wrong. You cut me. I believe black and gold. But the biggest problem that I see right now is the fact that we lost a lot of talent this past off season. We're trying to fill in with some people, but we're also having a problem with injuries to Harrison, Polamalu. Polamalu he's like if he's played a whole season in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a premier. Believe me, when he's in there, things happen. When Harrison's in there, things happen. But these guys are key players for us on the defensive side of the ball. And anybody that played football knows that you win championships on defense.
Yes, sir.
All right, and right now, we got a lot of holes.
We got a lot of holes.
We got a lot of holes. We got some good young guys with Hayward and them in there, and Nick, But it's going to take time. It's going to take time.
Yeah, they don't have any depth at linebacker right
No, they
now.
don't.
And Jason Worlds has been a bust.
Yeah.
They got a kid that was drafted in the 5th round. A year later than him is starting ahead of him.
Chris Carter, yeah.
Worlds has just been a big disappointment. And last year they had the depth at linebacker, and that evaporated real quickly. Losing that kid from Miami, what was his name? Spencer.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Sean Spencer.
I think he would have been the impact player of the year this year in the AFC if he's healthy. He was tearing it up in preseason. Why they had him in that game, that final preseason game, to blow out his knee? I mean, he should have been standing on the sidelines at that point. But
Yeah, but one of the biggest things that you look at is that Ben does not have the relationship with
Haley.
Haley, yeah, like he had with Aaron's, and he doesn't feel comfortable with his offense. You can see it if you're on like I don't have season tickets, unfortunately, but I watch it on my big screen TV at home. I just bought, by the way. It's nice. So anyway, you know, you can see it. He just does not feel comfortable. He's not going for the deep ball. He's not going for the juggler type game. You know, and he's little pick plays here, little pick plays there, run the ball few. He just doesn't feel comfortable yet with this. And
Well,
you
let me
have to
ask
have
you
a
this.
defense.
Let
You
me
have to
ask
have a
you this.
defense that's going to control keeping points off the board until he does feel like he's comfortable. You know what I'm
Coach
saying?
Gold, let me ask you this. I seen you pin a guy in wrestling in 13 seconds. If you're the offensive coordinator of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I love Big Ben, I think Big Ben's the greatest quarterback in Pittsburgh Steelers history. But Big Ben is insubordinate. If you're the coach, the offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Big Ben not only not calling plays from your playbook, but he's going back to Bruce Arians' playbook, what would happen if you was the offensive coordinator?
I bench him.
There you go.
I bench him.
There you go.
I bench him.
That's leadership. That's coaching.
Well,
We
we
ain't
got
had that
quality.
since
We
Bill
got
Cowher
quality
left.
sitting on the bench that can come out and do
now,
the
do
job.
you think that maybe that what the Steelers are doing is without going for the long, quick strikes on offense is they're trying to keep their defense off the field because they know their shortcomings. They're trying to run more of a ball control offense with short passes as opposed to a
that's
running
Haley.
game because they don't have the running game right now.
Yeah, but if you watch Haley wherever he's gone, that's been his ammo. He's always, keep the ball away from the defense. Eat it up. I mean, I think the first time we went out with this, it was in a scrimmage game at the beginning of the year. I mean, we had the ball like almost 9 minutes in that first drive. It was beautiful, and we ended up scoring off of it. But that was the last time we did that. You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong. I mean, players have to be held accountable, just like what Mike was saying. Everybody got to be held accountable for their position. If you're a receiver, you need to go up and get the easy one or the hard ones, not only catch the easy ones. You know what I'm saying? The quarterback, he's got to be able to improvise and get outside the pocket, throw the ball. Defensively, you got to be where you're supposed to be. If you don't do it, you got to come out and somebody else got to go in. I mean, that's just the name of the game.
Well, I got to go opposite this crowd here. I'm a Steeler fan, and I know with the Eagles coming in, they were writing them off last week with all the injuries with Vic and everything else and how they're playing, and McCoy wasn't up to speed anymore, and he got 123 yards here. I think the Steelers had their week off. They get to heal up a little bit. Whether it helps or not, I don't know, but I think they win on Sunday. They come out and beat these guys because it's the NFL. There's parity everywhere. You got guys, I don't know how they're going to do it. Look at Timmons is leading in sacks, but he looks like he's not even playing the game. So it's smoke and mirrors with some of this stuff with how they play. The coaches can't play the game. If Ben wants to take over and do his own thing, he sees that he has to do that. Because Haley sort of lost the team before he even got the team. Look at how he come in here with an attitude like he did. Whether it was by contract or not, most guys that have class go and talk to people on the side through other people. That did not happen. Everybody around Pittsburgh knows and hears that type of stuff. So those are part of the problems.
Yes.
He may only be a one-year wonder here, who knows. But I think they can come back from this adversity. All of us are built on overcoming adversity. So why can't these guys do it? And that's what I see. There's a lot of talent there. Are they playing with the talent? No. But they have a chance to do it, and I think their pride is on the line. And like Smoke and Jim said about people playing with pride and trying to perform, I think the Steelers do it. Don't take the points. Don't give the points. Bet them wherever you can with a friendly bet. Bet Chipper or something. Come on now. We'll talk about that later tomorrow night. No problem, okay?
But you know what? I got to second Alan on this, and I think the Philadelphia Eagles are tailor-made for the way the Steelers are playing right now. If you've seen what Michael Vick has done this year, he's played horribly. He's thrown 3 or 4 touchdown passes, been sacked 10, 15 times. I think if any team is set up for the Steelers to do well against, it's going to be Philadelphia. And I think they're going to put Vic on the ground, and they're going to put him there often. And I'm going to make my mother-in-law a happy woman right now. I think the Steelers' defense is going to knock him out of the game.
Well, he has this Kevlar vest now. That's supposedly saving him. But look at his size there. when you get a couple of these 350-pounders just laying on them, that'll work. So I'm hopeful.
Well, I'm looking for the Steelers to beat the Eagles. That's
Well,
what
one
my
person
pick
that
is.
won't sack him is their ultimate bust, Ziggy Hood, who's built like Tarzan and plays like Jane. So Michael Vick ain't got to worry about him.
You know what? I didn't sit here and say that the Philadelphia Eagles were a good football team. They don't need to be a good football team to beat the Steelers. And why am I going to tell you that the Steelers can't overcome adversity? They got no offensive line. They got no secondary. They can't stop the run. Okay, and Jim is going to tell you that Ben Roethlisberger is the best Steelers quarterback ever. He just says that to stir you up a little bit. He knows that Terry Bradshaw is the best Steeler quarterback ever. And you know what? If Bobby would go in and bench this quarterback who has maybe a good arm and runs around nice and has a 10-cent brain and put in Charlie Batch, they'll beat the Eagles to death. Charlie Batch is the second best quarterback the Steelers ever had. He just doesn't get a chance to show you.
Well, I disagree with the offensive line. It doesn't matter. We won 2 Super
Wait, hold on.
Bowls.
What did the offensive line say that you disagreed with?
I disagree with how they play.
Me
They
too.
play terribly. But they won 2 Super Bowls. They won 2 Super Bowls with subpar lines, so what does it even matter? We've won in spite of that. 2 Super Bowls, and we lost one with them too. So it doesn't matter. It's who gets the final score in the game.
So, while we're on the subject of football, and while you're here, what are your thoughts about a football game like the one West Virginia played against Baylor? I don't enjoy watching football like that. It's
No,
it's
that's like a tennis
arena
match.
football.
That's why I go watching a tennis match.
I mean,
I don't
I
like that
I
either.
like hitting.
I
I
like
like to see
competitive.
people tackling.
Yeah.
People with dirty uniforms.
Right.
And they'd have to be tackled. They get their uniforms dirty. But but this is what the Big 12 is going to do. And when it goes up against the SEC, I think they're going to get smacked in the mouth. Good. I'd love to see what West Virginia would do against Alabama right now.
I'll tell you what.
I think Alabama got their number.
I don't know if you like that game or that kind of game, but if at the beginning of the year I bet a couple $100 that Geno Smith was going to win the Heisman,
he got
that
it.
would have been my favorite
He
game
got
of
it.
all time.
Yeah, he got
Well,
it.
you want to hear the interesting thing about Geno Smith is that this year, so far, he has thrown more touchdown passes than he has thrown incompletions for the season.
And he
I
also
think that's
did it in the game,
I think
too.
I think that's amazing that he's thrown more touchdown passes than he's thrown incompletions.
That's amazing.
That is an amazing stat. I watched that game just because I couldn't believe that they were running back and forth like it. What a game.
Yeah, what was it? There was 4 80-yard touchdown passes in that game.
I'm thinking he's going to win the Heisman. Plus, but somewhere along the line, he has one terrible game. You have to guess.
Well,
he's
there
probably
isn't
up
anybody
front for the
that's
Heisman
putting up
right
a
now.
fight right now. I mean, Matt Barkley was, an early odds-on favorite, but the Trojans kind of stumbled a little bit.
And West Virginia won't have to play Alabama. If Alabama and LSU knock each other off, West Virginia will end up playing Oregon. And it doesnn't matter who they play. Oregon Ducks are winning the national championship this year.
This is
Thanks for coming
Marlena
up.
Ingalls
Nice meeting.
and Wilma Walton, 2 of my players for the Three Rivers Explosion.
What position?
I just got one thing to say, and I say this every time I see it. Walton is the best receiver come out of West Virginia since Randy Moss.
Marlena is probably going to be playing linebacker this year. We're looking at linebacker for Marlena. I'm excited to see her in our colors. And Will's going to be playing wide receiver for us. And we just hope we got somebody who can throw that ball that far because she's fast. We're excited about what 2013 season.
Now, Coach, the Pittsburgh Force folded. Now, are you looking at some of the players that play for the Pittsburgh Force to maybe join your team?
I haven't heard that they had folded. I heard that right now that they were kind of in limbo, wasn't sure which way they were going. So, yes, we've already picked up a couple of their players.
Okay.
And we are willing to take, any other players, experienced, unexperienced players. Like I said, we have some of the best coaches in the women's football, and as far as I'm concerned, in men's football on my staff. So I'm real excited about what the opportunities we can give all women in the city of Pittsburgh to play football.
And when's your first game?
I like that opportunity to give women.
When's the first game on a serious note?
First game will probably be about the middle of April.
Okay.
Our schedules have not been made.
Do you have a website we can go to check out any of this stuff?
Absolutely.
Let us know then.
www.threeriversexplosion.net, is it now?
Will, repeat that for us.
Is it .net now? .net. Yes.
Thank you.
We're very excited. We have a night at the races coming up at the Heidelberg Fire Hall. At the last Saturday in October 27th. We want to welcome everybody to come on down and get to meet the players and have a good time. It's also a costume party, so you can dress up and come on in the best costume.
Wait
Win some money.
Smoking Jim's already dressed.
It's one of our biggest fundraisers. It's you need to understand that we do have a lot of expenses. By the way, I wanted to let you know, the women own the team. The players, the women own the team. This is the only professional women's football team where that's happening. It's happening right here in Pittsburgh. The women own the team. I don't own it. I'm a coach. They came to me, asked me to coach, and I was more than willing to do so because I want to take my years of experience and be able to help these young ladies become the best they can be on and off the field. Nice. That's my goal in life. That's what I do. All right. So awesome. Please.
How do we get a hold of you? That's what we need to know. How do we get a hold of you to help promote this? With also your Heidelberg night at the races.
Yes.
When and where? Who do we call or contact?
Everything is right there. You can contact me. My name's Bob Gold. You can contact me. Get my number. Everything right on the website. We have a nice website, nice Facebook also. You can get on to right off of that. So all of our information is
because this will be on public access TV, and then it'll also be on YouTube. So, yeah.
I'm sorry.
We always make them repeat it.
I did. www.threeriversexplosion, and that's XPLIOSN.net.
Not EX, just X.
Just X.
Explosion.
Explosion.
And I always say, whatever a man can do, a woman can do better.
Amen.
And behind every successful man is a very surprised mother-in-law.
Well, thank you.
Beautiful part of the country.
Thank you so much.
We have, I guess, another little special here. El's biggest fan
Hey, where's that
came up
cake
and
at?
gave each one of us a baseball
I got
card.
the only
football
black
card.
one.
I lost my card.
The luck of the draw.
I lost my
And
card.
she asked us to say something about
Send the waitress
each
over.
of these guys. Now, the card she gave to me was Vic Davalillo of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Hey, Colin.
You may or may
We'll
not
need
have
our
heard of
cake
him.
in like
If
about-
you are younger than me, you probably have not heard of him. Vic Davalillo was an outfielder for the Pirates, like right around the time when they also had Roberto Clemente, Willie Stargell, and Al Oliver. So you've probably never seen this guy on the field. He may have pinch hit it now and then. But anyway, that's who I had. I had Vic Davalillo. Thank you very much. Chip, who you got?
What I've
Biggest
got
fan.
is a pitcher for the Pirates who made his major league debut in the summer of 1974. His name was Larry Demery, and he had a very short career. He put up a total of 29 wins as a major leaguer, and was never heard from him since.
How many seasons was that over?
Let's see here.
You might have heard of him again.
77 was his last year. He appeared in 39 games. He was 6-5.
All right, well, thanks, Chip. Jim?
He's a winner.
And I got a soul brother. Hey, listen, I got one of my favorite football players of all time. Everybody knows I'm a huge Miami Dolphin fan. Don Shula, what a great, great coach, the winningest coach of all time. Mercury Morris was the only running back in NFL history that didn't start that rushed for over 1,000 yards. You had Larry Zonka, the Hall of Famer. You had the great Jim Kick. And Mercury Morris, who is from Western Pennsylvania, played his high school football in the WPIAL, came in and ran for 1,000 yards. him and Larry Zonka was the first two to ever run for 1,000 yards in the same backfield. And 2 years later, Rocky Bleier and Franco Harris did the same thing with a cutout of Joe Paterno.
I'll tell you what, in addition to that history, Mercury Morris was the only black running back to ever sit the bench while two white guys started. Guaranteed.
Well, if you remember, that 72 Dolphin team only had two brothers on the team, Mercury Morris and Larry Little, who was David Little's older brother. David Little played linebacker for the Steelers.
And that's some fiction and fact from Smokin' Jim, the NFL Scouts Almanac.
So, Al, who you got, Al?
Well, you know what? My biggest fan gave me the wrong card. So I'm going to put the card down. And I'm going to tell you the card she was supposed to give me.
You trying to say you have no idea who that is?
Yeah, it's Luke. It's Luke Walker, but forget about him. The card I was supposed to get that's stuck at home, they're moving to New Jersey, so this is the last time they're going to see our show here. The biggest fan and the second biggest fan, and my other sister Joy, she'll be around. But the biggest fan, I got it from inside knowledge that it was Jim Kick. He was the Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. He made that team with Larry Zonka. They were two 1,000-yard rushers, and he was quite the character in his day, and it was enjoyable watching him run and hear his off-field activities also. So it was Jim Kick there, and that's the card I had. Thanks, biggest fan, and we'll keep Hope alive here. And then we have a little surprise for Hope. I'm not supposed to tell anybody that it's her birthday, her 40th birthday. So
congratulations, Hope!
You got to give her credit for her 40th birthday. She got two, a cookie cake and a cake. And read what it says on the cookie cake. See if you can get a shot of that, Joe. It's a special one. No, you have to. Well, anybody that wants to sing, everybody knows I have a terrible voice, and you guys can wish her a happy birthday. It's
happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you.
Two birthdays, all right.
Happy birthday to Al's fan.
Happy birthday to you.
Party over here.
Make a wish, both of you.
Well, okay. Since we did talk a little bit, Al touched on the NFL referees coming back off of strike or lockout or whatever it was. Personally, I don't know if they look any better or worse or different than the replacement referees. I'm sure they're costing a lot more. But over this past weekend, it didn't seem like they did any different a job.
Well, the one thing they did do, and I got to give them credit for this, they decisively blew the calls instead of, just tiptoeing around them and calling and asking for the.
They were quick mistakes.
They made mistakes, but they did it very efficiently, and the game moved on.
Actually, you're right. But the precursor to that, the reason you knew that the regular referees were not going to come back and do any better a job than the replacement referees is because even though the replacement referees were replacements, the people that did the instant replay reviews were the regular people that always did the instant replay reviews. So even if the replacements got it right or wrong, you could count on the instant replay guys to get it wrong again for them. These guys are no different than the ones that replaced them. I think you got to take your hats off to those guys that stepped into a bad situation and tried to do what they could do so that you didn't have to wait 4 weeks to see football. If they didn't do what they did, then the season wouldn't have started on time and everybody would have been crying. Of course, Steelers wouldn't have lost 2 games already, but there was a bright side to everything, I suppose. But the only reason I brought up the union is because the NHL and the players met again yesterday and decided, to not meet again today. So looks like there's going to be some problems. We might be without hockey for some time now. I think that's terrible. I mean, Bobby said if you cut him, he bleeds black and gold. Well, me too, and I hate the Steelers and the Pirates. but the Penguins are black and gold, so you might throw a little bit of blue in there, I guess. But I miss the Penguins, and I'm looking forward to this strike or lockout or whatever being over. Personally, I think the owner should just say, you know what, we're not negotiating with the union at all anymore. If you want to come back to work, come on back. If not, we'll replace you. But we're setting the rules the way we want them and we're not dealing with a union anymore.
And I think the problem that the NHL has got right now is at a time when their popularity was probably on its biggest upswing in recent years. They're going to set themselves back 3 or 4 spaces. This is going to hurt the league in the long run. It's going to hurt revenue and whatever gains that the owners might make out of whatever kind of collective bargaining agreement they have. I think they're just going to lose from the fact that people just are fed up with all these labor problems with the professional sports.
And real quick, I forgot to give my pick before the end of the show. I'm 6-1, and it took the worst call in NFL history for me to lose last week when I had Green Bay over Seattle. However, tonight you can win a lot of money with Dallas Cowboys over Chicago.
With the points or without? Come
Always
on.
with the points, brother.
Okay, thanks. And in my mind, you did win last week. Okay, so you're undefeated.
And you got the highest IQ if anybody ever known.
Is that football IQ or sports talk IQ?
So I'm undefeated.
What, did somebody write 35 on a slip of paper and put it on the space shuttle? Get it as high as they could.
Hey, I got a degree in general studies, and I'm the smartest guy in my circle, brother.
I heard it's a circle of one.
Yeah, circle of one, man.
That's why we get along fine.
We haven't touched anything at all in high school football. A big game this weekend between Gateway and North Allegheny. 2 of the top teams in Quad A. They're going head-to-head this weekend.
Now, I've heard it from a good source that those teams shouldn't have been playing each other, so at the end of the year, number 1 should be playing number 2 for the championship. But I don't mind seeing a rematch.
Well, Gateway has a $2 million press box that I'll be sitting in, and they feed you good in the Gateway press box. I will guarantee Gateway will defeat North Allegheny. North Allegheny is back-to-back Quad A WPIL champs. They got 4 kids from the Steelers coaching staff playing, 1 kid from the Pitt coaching staff as a quarterback. Gateway's still going to beat North Allegheny and take over first place in the state. They're number 2 in the state right now behind North Allegheny, guaranteed.
And Gateway High School has the highest payroll of any high school in Western Pennsylvania.
Oh yeah.
Well, Jim's right. Gateway has an outstanding press box. I thought $2 million. Actually, I thought it was $3 million. It is a very, very nice press box. This is nice as what you get to see down at the Steeler game. Seriously, it's as nice as the press box at Heinz Field. I'm not saying much because Heinz Field is a dog of a football stadium. But if you go out of the press box and go next door to the Scouts box, you can watch on television junior high school football games from all over the country.
I thought they started recruiting them in grade school.
Wait, how's the food up there? Come on.
We do recruit.
There's 2 on the 1 plate. One's for Bobby.
Well, a few years back,
Chip took that
I
plate.
was coaching at Penn Hills High School, and I got the pleasure of watching Smoking Jimmy over here doing his thing. And by the way, they do feed well.
Yes, sir.
They even fed the visiting team because I was up here with the headset.
Yeah,
on,
I remember.
Calling plays, and I was eating and calling. I was having a good time. A lot of fun. But I think
What
Gateway
do they feed you up there?
I think Gateway also, man.
Thanks, Coach Cole.
No doubt about it, man. Escargot, man.
A lot of escargot.
Escargot.
That's going to be the game.
You are sophisticated.
Well, I guess I'd like to thank everybody for coming down to the Level 20 Lounge. We won't be here next week, but please come back on October 15th, where, like I said before, we'll have Tony Lanero and talk a lot about multiple sclerosis and his time with the Olympics. I'd like to thank Bobby Gold, Coach Gold, for coming down tonight.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, gentlemen. Thanks a lot.
Al the Talking Machine, Smoking Jim Frazier, Chip Painter, Pirate fan, and I'm Mike McGrory. Thanks a lot, and we will see you next